You talk, and she pulls away. You open up, and she grows cold. You explain how you feel, and she goes quiet. You think being honest will make her understand. You think more words will bring her closer. You think talking fixes things. But with women, talking too much doesn't pull them in. It pushes them out. Because here's what you were never taught. The man who talks less holds more power. She doesn't feel your value when you're always explaining. She feels it when you say nothing and still control the room. Silence isn't weakness. It's dominance. It's tension. It's mystery. And mystery is magnetic. Silence isn't the absence of words. It's the presence of control. When you go silent, she starts thinking. She starts wondering. She starts imagining. And that's the key. The moment she's left alone with her thoughts, you become a mystery. And mystery makes her curious, makes her chase, makes her spiral. Because women don't fall for what they understand. They fall for what they can't quite figure out. The guy who always texts back immediately? Predictable. The guy who explains every emotion? Transparent. The guy who never lets there be space? Boring. But the man who holds his words, who doesn't need to fill the silence, who lets the tension sit heavy in the air, he becomes unforgettable. A man who stays silent under pressure, says everything without saying a word. She pulls away. You don't react. She gives you attitude. You stay calm. She tests your emotions, and you pass with stillness. This silence, it's not emptiness. It's a message. It says, I'm not moved by chaos. I'm not here to win your approval. I don't need to explain myself to be understood. That energy, it's rare, it's felt. It shakes her more than shouting ever could. Because silence creates contrast. In a world where men overshare, overtalk, overthink, the one who doesn't stands out. Let's go deeper. Now I'll show you how to use silence as a weapon without ever being rude. If you're the kind of man who leads with presence, not words, hit subscribe. This is where you sharpen that edge. Silence done wrong feels weak. Silence done right feels unshakable. Here's the difference. Weak silence comes from fear. Strong silence comes from power. You don't go quiet because you don't know what to say. You go quiet because you've already said enough. Because your presence does the talking. Because your frame doesn't wobble under pressure. When she's emotional, you stay calm. When she complains, you listen without defending. When she tests you, you don't flinch, you don't chase, you don't fold. This drives her crazy in the best way. Because she can't read you, she can't predict you, she feels your depth and wants to earn access to it. And here's the secret. The more you talk, the more you give away your edge. The less you talk, the more she leans in. Emotional tension is where attraction lives. Most men try to erase that tension. They fill silence with nervous words. They text just to get a reply. They talk too much, hoping to feel closer. But closeness doesn't come from talking. It comes from tension. That pause in the conversation, that moment of eye contact, that silence after she says something emotional. If you can hold your ground there, she feels something no words can give her. Anticipation, respect, and desire. Because she starts to wonder, what is he thinking? Why doesn't he react? Why does his silence feel so powerful? And that curiosity, that emotional stretch, that's what creates pull. That's what makes her obsessed. Here's where most men mess it up. They go silent, but from weakness, not strength. They ghost, they ignore, they shut down. Not because they're grounded, but because they're afraid. Afraid of saying the wrong thing, afraid of getting rejected, afraid of looking emotional. That kind of silence, it doesn't build attraction, it builds resentment. Because she feels the difference. She knows when you're silent out of confidence and when you're just emotionally unavailable. Stoic silence doesn't mean hiding. It means standing still in the storm. It means listening without chasing. It means holding the frame when everything around you wants you to break. Real power doesn't retreat. It stays. It watches. It waits. Words mean more when you say fewer of them. That's the secret. When you speak less, every word carries weight. Every pause builds tension. Every silence makes her listen harder. You don't need to be the loudest in the room. You just need to speak with intention, slow, direct, controlled. Say what you mean. Say it once. Then stop talking. Let your body do the rest. Your posture, your eyes, your calm. Because when your energy is grounded and your words are scarce but sharp, she leans in. Not because you're chasing her attention, but because she can't ignore your presence. Now it's time to bring it all together. The mindset, the silence, and the control. Silence isn't about playing games. It's about mastering yourself. It's what separates the man who reacts from the man who leads. The man who chases noise from the man who commands presence. She doesn't fall for what you say. She falls for how you hold yourself when you say nothing. Every second you stay calm, every moment you resist the urge to over-explain. Every time you let her come to you instead, she feels it. Not on the surface, but deep in her instincts. That primal pull toward a man who doesn't fold. You don't need to raise your voice to prove your value. You just need to stay rooted in silence long enough for the world to notice. And now, let me ask you this. What's more powerful in your opinion, words or presence? Drop your answer in the comments.